Down on one knee, his black masked face raised to the hologram. Tall, fearsome Vader was wearing the bodysuit and armor, helmet, boots, and cloak that both camouflaged the evidence of his transformation and sustained his life. Without revealing his distress at being unable to maintain the kneeling posture, Vader said, "What are your orders, Master?" and asked himself, is this poorly designed suit the source of my distress, or is something else at work? Do you recall what I told you about the relationship between power and understanding, Lord Vader? Yes, Master. Where the Jedi gain power through understanding, the Sith gain understanding through power. Palpatine smiled faintly. This will become clearer to you as you continue your training, Lord Vader. And to that end, I will provide you with the means to increase your power and broaden your understanding. In due time, power will fill the vacuum created by the decisions you made, the acts you carried out, married to the order of the Sith, and you will need no other companion than the dark side of the Force. Ever since Anakin Skywalker was entombed inside of the heavy, uncomfortable black armor given to him by his master, he lived a life of agony. He suffered through the torment not just from losing his wife Padme and to his knowledge their unborn child, but physical torment as well. Though Vader would adjust to his suit in time and be able to move and fight more properly, it was quite an effort in the early days of his new life. Long accustomed to building and rebuilding droids, supercharging the engines of land speeders and starfighters, upgrading the mechanisms that controlled the first of his artificial limbs, he was dismayed by the incompetence of the medical droids responsible for his resurrection in Sidious's lofty laboratory on Coruscant. Sidious, in fact, didn't mind that Vader's suit was as uncomfortable as possible. He even had the suit be made extra vulnerable to Sith lightning so that should Vader ever attempt to rise up against him, Sidious would be able to put Vader down with relative ease. So with Vader's past as Anakin Skywalker, a young man who is very mechanically minded, clever, and bright, why did Vader never upgrade his suit or build a new one that would be far less painful and tormenting? Why did Vader choose to live a life of constant physical agony? You could say that one reason for this could be the risk involved. Vader's suit obviously kept him alive, so having to be completely removed from it and put into another could run the risk of him passing away before the process was complete. However, I would say that one of, if not the biggest reason Vader remained in this specific suit would be that the constant pain caused by it fueled the dark side that dwelled in Vader. Perhaps if Vader was more comfortable, Anakin Skywalker would have had a better chance of resurfacing long before he did in front of his son Luke just before his death. We have a past video talking about a brief moment in time where Vader was able to call upon the dark side of the Force and actually began healing himself. However, the joy of feeling somewhat normal again, being able to briefly breathe as others do, the elation of not being bound to his prison caused him a spark of happiness. And that spark was enough that the power of the dark side began to fade, and Vader was no longer able to sustain that brief period of healing he had managed, leaving him once again reliant on his suit and the apparatus that kept him alive. Millennia before Vader, Darth Bane would also be forced to wear a different kind of armor, his being made up of creatures known as orbalists, beetle-like creatures that constantly fed on him and spread over nearly his entire body. However, even though the orbalists were very painful, they granted Bane great power and adrenaline, and their shells were so hard and tough that they were impervious to a lightsaber blade. Long before Vader, Bane would also be fueled by the pain his armor caused. Though Bane would eventually be freed of his armor, though he nearly died in the process, Vader would remain trapped forever until the day he was no more. The tall boots that were a poor fit for his artificial feet. The sleeves that didn't properly hug his prosthetics as they should. The dark hemispheres that covered his eyes, filtering out light that might have caused even more damage to his corneas and retinas. The rasp of his breathing that interfered with his ability to rest, let alone sleep. Sound waves now had to be transmitted through implants in his inner ear due to his eardrums melting in the Mustafar heat. Vader hated nearly everything about it, and he, and yes his master Sidious, knew that hate, that rage, made him powerful. Sidious didn't care if his apprentice was comfortable. He wanted him angry, upset, enraged. Sidious wanted Vader powerful, but as we already mentioned, not so powerful that he would be able to overthrow Sidious himself. Though Sidious would allow Vader to make upgrades to his suit at times, he was never too worried about helping create one to completely replace the original that saved Vader's life after Mustafar. Without sounding too repetitive, I believe that seems to be the primary reason as to why Vader never fully upgraded his suit. The pain made him angry, and for a Sith, anger is power. And as we know, Vader was very, very powerful. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and as always, of course, may the Force be with you.